have been doing resumes since before, prior to me starting my nonprofit. I no longer had a nonprofit, but how I started was just trying to be a service to others because of the unfairness of workforce centers. That's the short version of it. But one thing I don't like is about not all resume writers, is that they put out false information. So I'm about to debunk that. Not only have I been doing resumes for a long time, I've also been a manager, I've been a supervisor, I've been a recruiter. I still currently work in HR. I've been working in HR since I moved to Texas, so that's been since 2013. But let's get into it. It's just some things that I just don't like about certain resumes because it's made that maybe they just going by certain common information what other resume writers are saying, and then it's facts. So since I used to do interviews, I used to be a recruiter. I worked in HR, onboarded. I worked in payroll. I worked in a lot. I haven't worked in like different applicant tracking systems, but I worked enough to tell you this information. So let's get into it. This is my top thing that I don't like what certain people say. I would say certain resume writers, they can be certified, whatever, that a resume will get you a job. I would never tell a person that I'm working with that the resume that I created is going to land you a job. That is false information. The thing is, I create industry style resumes that is going to attract the attention of the recruiter, attract the attention of the manager, so that you can get the whole goal is so you can get an interview. I wanted to be able to position whatever job that you're applying for to attract the jobs or the industry that you're applying for to attract so you can get an interview. It's up to you to ace that interview. I can tell you how to do it and everything, but you got to be confident in yourself. You got to be what they want. You got to be the one to say, hey, you going to want me. So that's all up to you. I would never tell you a resume will get you a job. The other thing I seen the other day was having a certain certification will get you a job. Having a certification, depending on the industry, whatever, it's not that it's going to get you a job. Again, is your resume how it's lined up, whatever it's going to attract. Hopefully it's get the goal is to get you an interview. Is it going to get you an interview for the company that you want? Maybe or maybe not. But you want to be able to do things in line with so you can get the interview. So again, just because you have that certification that does not mean it's going to get you that job. And the post that I was looking at, somebody was saying that one of the Google certifications is going to, I know a couple of people that have it. It just depends on what you go after and everything. How again, how you have yourself set up and everything. How are you applying to your job? Are you consistent? It's what you're doing. So when I talk to people, I ask them, what are you doing? Because you can't keep doing the same thing. As my dad say, do something different. Okay. I'm a person that I have multiple resumes, but depending on the job, I kind of tweak it and say, I can't fit everything on a resume because one, let's get into it. A resume is just a summary. As much as I want to put everything that I have done, you just want to summarize the skills, the knowledge and skills and abilities that fits the job that you're about to apply to. So I tell people you have to tweak it. You have to say, hey, I didn't put this on here for this skill, but when I apply for this job, because it's on the job description, I'm going to put this skill on here. Take something off, put it on, whatever, just to add to if you have room for it. You got to be able to tweak your resumes into the job description, to the job that you're applying to. And I would say if and you got to go back to my video say don't lie your resume because you got to be able to speak to that skill. Don't get in the interview and be like, oh, I just put this on here because you had it on. You got to be able to speak to that skill when you get into that job interview. Okay, so if you got that skill, you can speak to it. put it on your resume if it's on the job description. It's because it's what they're looking for. I remember a long time ago, it was probably like 2014-ish. I was helping someone with their resume and they were complaining about the margins. Use the margins to your best of your ability. So when I do it, I kind of like go beyond, try to fit it on the page, but not make it like too full, if you understand what I'm saying. So use the margins when you're doing create, if you're creating your own resume to the best of your ability. There is no standard way or standard saying, oh, your resume has to be 1 inch margins all the way around, blah blah blah. No, it's not. You have to use this certain font. You have, it's suggested fonts, but when you apply to a job, I've never seen them say, hey, your resume has to be 1 inch fonts, 1 inch margins all the way around. You have to use Times Roman font. You have to use 12 point. There isn't. Again, a resume is the summary. You want to fit whatever you can, your knowledge, your skills, abilities to that industry, also to that job that you're applying to. Another thing is that a resume should be 1 page. Mm, no, it just depends. I would say max if you're doing a resume, not a CV, because a CV is different. They do that in other countries. If you're a doctor or something they do CVs. I'm talking about a resume. A resume is supposed to be 1 to 2 pages. You can go back to my video where I talk about the basics of a resume and the cover letter and everything to get more information on that. Your resume can be, I would say, up to 2 pages, depending on your skills and quality. It just depends. And this is why I work with people one on one, because it gives me an idea of how to format your resume, how long it should be, how far we should go back, who you're applying for. And I always tell people, when I used to work for a Department of Defense contractor, they wanted their stuff to go back 10 years, and they were real adamant about the information going back 10 years. So it just depends on who you're going for and what you want them to see. Again, your resume is a summary. You don't have to put everything. You should hide your work gaps. Depends again how you're setting up your resume. It depends on what it is. Again, your resume is a summary. Some stuff I don't put on there, even HR stuff. If I'm applying for an HR job, I do have a job where I only worked at seasonal. So it was only for that period. So sometimes I put it on there, sometimes I don't, because it was what I were doing. Again, depending on what I was doing, because I did a lot of payroll, I did a lot of California stuff, I did a lot of that. So I tend to leave that off. But with COVID-19 hitting in 2019, 2020, that left a lot of people without jobs. So they understand a lot. It should be a lot of managers, a lot of recruiters understand those work gaps now. The other thing is objective statements. When I do a resume package or something like that, you buy the templates. I put in there parts of a resume. I actually think I did parts of a resume a long time ago when I did what is a resume and what is a cover letter. Again, go back to the playlist. So I think objective statements are vague because it's not saying anything. If you put an objective statement to I'm seeking a job to enhance my skills. Oh, okay. But a resume summary is a little bit about yourself, a little about your skills, your knowledge. It could be 3 or 4 sentences, but it gives a little bit more detail about you. So I believe a resume summary looks better. But if you're a teen or um, I would say an objective summary mix would be kind of this appropriate for a teen that didn't have a job, or a teen that's coming out of school and they have more academic. I would set them up for that. When I was running a nonprofit and I was doing the resumes for the teens and early adults, that's how I set their resumes up, especially if they were going on to college and stuff like that. Another one is including social media on your resume. That is totally up to you. Like if you have a project and you want to include that link. If you have a link to your Instagram and all your stuff, your e-portfolio is your Instagram, then put that on there. But if you got Facebook and you talking about everybody and your mama, you probably don't want to put that on there. Or when you're applying to a job, I do not put Facebook, even though my Facebook is pretty much open. I don't put those handles. Sometimes I don't even put LinkedIn. So it just depends on what I'm applying for and applying to. What information that you want them to see can again, the information that you portray or the information that you give them, best believe somebody is probably going to look at that. So if you put your Facebook, they're going to probably look at it and say, hey, is this a person that can represent the company? How do they interact with other people? Will they be interacting with our employees like that? So they looking at the behavior and stuff like that. So it just depends on what you're putting out there. And then if your face, and I'll just put a plug in here, if you have certain social media, if it's open to for everybody to see it, a lot of times they do go look at it. Recruiters will go look at it anyway because they're searching on social media too. Those are my little pet peeves and stuff like that. When people put stuff out there, be sure to go to my website for my services, my e-learning workshops, and my digital downloads. Until next time.